How's it going, Yankee fans? My name is Alex with my co-host here, Nick Nielsen, back from New York City in Utah once again. And today we want to discuss Michael King and some really good injury news on that front. Now, we were all terrified that aside from this fractured right elbow, he was also going to need Tommy John surgery, which would have kept him out pretty much the entire 2023 season. We might have not seen a regular version of Michael King until 2024, but we dodged a big bullet there. So we'll discuss that, ways that we can supplement his loss, a player that I have in my mind, I'm sure Nick will agree, that needs to step up big time over the next couple of weeks and months as we head toward the postseason. And of course, general manager Brian Cashman is going to need to make a move at the deadline to help out this bullpen. But Nick, before we dive into these interesting topics and some good news on the injury front, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm great. I mean, as you said, I just got back from New York City. I was invited to a content creator event at Somerset with the Somerset Patriots. So huge shout out to Eli Fishman for organizing that. It was a fantastic opportunity. Got to meet my co-host Ryan Garcia, the one and only, in the flesh, which was a great time. Had some amazing opportunities there. Got to speak to Sparky Lyle, talk to Brandon Lockridge, who, as everyone knows, has true 80 grade speed. Got to watch a great game at the ballpark. Also got to meet up with some fantastic content creators in their own right, including Will and Whipple at Yankees Files. Those boys do some great stuff. Fireside Yankees File collab in the works. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. But it was an incredible, awesome opportunity. So I'm happy to be back home, of course, happy to be able to get recording and get some episodes out. I feel like I've been gone for like 2 weeks, even though it's been like 3 days. But nonetheless, feeling great. Subway Series begins today. Very excited. And of course, like you said, I am happy that we got some good news on Michael King.
Yeah, so let's jump into the good news on Michael King. Now, everybody thought, crap, we might lose him for a long time, but thanks to the baseball gods, I hate them for getting him injured in the first place, but thanks to the baseball gods for a little bit of help here. He's not going to need Tommy John surgery, right? So no Tommy John for Michael King, which is going to shorten his rehabilitation by a year.
Yeah, okay, like a year. Like we probably wouldn't have seen him until 2024 because a fractured elbow is no easy thing to recover from either. Because they're saying that he could be back by like early 2023. But you add Tommy John onto that, and we might not see Michael King pitch in a Yankees uniform again.
Exactly. So, this is a big development for him and the future of this Yankee team in the bullpen. He should be back for spring training next year and be able to be a full contributor for 2023, which I think is a huge positive that we should be harping on rather than just focusing on the obvious injury and now having to supplement that. But speaking of supplementations, I have one guy in mind who I think could do a pretty good job of at least smoothing over his loss. You can't replace a 2.29 ERA and all he's done this year to help this Yankee team. Just a phenomenal player. One of the best bullpen arms in baseball this year. Just a heavy usage guy. He can do a lot of things for this bullpen, and well, at least he used to be able to. But now the guy I have in mind is Clarke Schmidt. Now, Clarke Schmidt is going to take on a much bigger role in the coming months and weeks here. He's already been kind of thrust into that big leverage role against Baltimore. 3 innings, gave up 2 hits, no earned runs. Looked really, really good. He's actually been very underrated. 26 years old. 2.67 ERA this year with a 4.55 xFIP. So I like that to get a little bit lower, but 27 innings. 76 left on base rate, 44.4% ground ball rate, not striking out a ton of batters. Just 8 strikeouts per 9, but he's not giving up many homers at 7.1% home run to fly ball ratio. So he's really keeping the ball in the park, giving up some hits,
but a lot. He's like changed. Now he's a really like ground ball heavy pitcher, and it's like I will say, Schmidt has always kind of been able to induce ground balls, but for a little bit there in the past 2 seasons that we've seen Schmidt, he has had pretty good strikeout stuff. And I don't think that strikeouts are the end-all, be-all for pitchers, of course. I mean, like, look at Tyone. Granted, he struggled a lot the last 2 months. But before that, he had like an 80% ground ball rate. However, Schmitty, what's nice about him is that he can fill in that Michael King role, where it's like he can pitch 1 innings, 2 innings, 3 innings, back end of the innings, 5th innings if he needs, or the 5th inning if he needs to. And we saw that the other day. He came in, he got his first career save, 3 innings pitched, 3 strikeouts. Like, I don't know. If I see Clarke Schmidt has been optioned down to AAA sometime coming up this week, I'm going to lose my mind. Because at what point do you just leave the kid up and give him his fair shot? Like, it's the same thing with JP Sears. And for whatever reason, the baseball gods laugh at me and spit in my face, and we see Domingo Germán starting tomorrow. It's like, look, if we're going to be giving Domingo all these opportunities, you got to give JP Sears those opportunities. You got to give Clarke Schmidt those opportunities. Even Webb Dog, who got cut and may re-sign again. I think he deserves some more opportunities out of the pen. Like, there's a lot of guys that I think can supplement for Michael King, and Schmidt is a big, big one of those guys. But the other thing is that I also just don't want the Yankees to be trying to supplement with Schmidt by using bad players. Like, I understand Germán, some people are, for whatever reason, a fan of Domingo Germán's, but the guy is not a good baseball player. And seeing that he's matched up with Max Scherzer tomorrow is probably one of the most terrifying head-to-head matchups I've ever seen on the bump. And I guess I'm not saying that Schmidt should be a starting pitcher, but I think that like a Sears and then a Schmidt combination would be beautiful. Instead, we're going to see Domingo Germán go out there tomorrow, throw 3 innings, give up 6 runs, point to the sky, giving thanks, and then Sears will come in and have to do the job. It's so predictable. So predictable.
Yeah, I do kind of agree with Domingo Germán. Like, I don't really get why they keep thrusting him into these high leverage situations, like against Houston and now against Max Scherzer and the Mets. These are very good teams, and they're like basically throwing him out to die. And JP Sears should be getting these opportunities. He's proven that he can, you know, make spot starts and actually have pretty productive and efficient performances as that kind of like throw-in starter to help mitigate fatigue. You know, Jameson Taillon has really been struggling. Obviously, Montgomery's been pretty solid. Severino's on the injured list right now, so they need these guys to kind of step up. But I'll say this. I think when it comes to the bullpen, I wrote an article this morning about why the Yankees should DFA Aroldis Chapman. I legit don't trust the guy at all. I mean, look, Clay Holmes is your closer now. He hasn't been a bullpen like setup man in probably his entire career, maybe his rookie season for a little while. But like, I just don't think that he's going to be a positive contributor to this team moving forward. I can't see how he carves a role out for himself. Now, Michael King losing him would have been a lot less problematic if Chapman was living up to expectations right now. But Boone and Cashman keep saying, like, they think he's not physically limited. They think he should be playing a lot better. They need to get him right. But how do you get a guy like this right when he's lost about a mile an hour off his fastball, and he's trying to overcompensate for that? And by doing that, he's losing all of his accuracy and location. His slider, bro, I was looking at his slider metrics today. Oh my God. Last year, I think hitters were hitting like 170 against his slider. Now they're hitting over 300. Like, what happened to this man's slider? He's hanging these things over the middle of the plate. I don't really understand how you could have such a massive decrease in efficiency with one pitch. And then you look at the inaccuracy with this fastball, and it's all just becoming a big problem. He has like a 9.35 ERA in July, 2 consecutive months, which is some of the worst pitching I've ever seen in his career. Like, DFAing a future Hall of Famer is tough to justify, but like, he's legit just taking up a roster spot and giving nothing back for $18 million this season. And I guess at some point you have to make the decision, like, maybe somebody else is more deserving of that roster spot, especially if they go and they trade for a bullpen arm.
Yeah, and Alex, to kind of go off your point there with that slider, the numbers that people are hitting against him, opponents are slugging 692 against the slider this year. Aroldis, horrendous. I understand how people like to keep hope and hold on to hope, but at this point in Aroldis Chapman's career, he is not a New York Yankee. We cannot keep throwing him out there in close games. Even in games that aren't close, he fucks up. Like, what was the Orioles game they came into where what 6-0, and they came into it 6-4, 6-3 all of a sudden, and it's like, sick. Thanks Aroldis, and then we had to use King, and then King got injured. So the problem with Aroldis is that, 1, he's not reliable. 2, he's not like willing to take like less reps and pitch less important innings without creating a fuss. And then 3, like you said, the dude he can't locate. He doesn't have any confidence in any of his pitches. And he just walks batters at an alarming rate, gives up home runs left and right. And when he does make mistakes, instead of like being like, damn, like I should have known better, he's laughing. And it's like, dude, you clearly don't care anymore. And it's like, I understand he was an elite reliever, Hall of Fame reliever. Don't get me wrong. Hall of Fame closing pitcher. But right now, that's not the case. Like, look at what he's doing this season. He is dead last on our entire roster in F4 for pitchers. He has a 5.75 ERA, a 5.83 FIP in 20 innings, and his K percentage is 24%, which is a career low, and his walk percentage is 17.5%, which is a career high. The dude is just bad, simply put. So the Yankees, I would love to use Aroldis to supplement the King loss, but at the same time, I don't want to use Aroldis at all. So I understand what Boone's saying, where he's like, look, we think that he's still there. We're just going to keep trying to get him like through this and get him working out these kinks in the armor and basically get him to where we know he can be. But the problem is that Aroldis Chapman is long gone. He's not coming back.
Yeah, no, he's not coming back. And, the Yankees are going to have to make a move at the deadline. Ryan and I spoke about a couple guys. Of course, David Robertson. One guy I really like is Anthony Bass out of Miami.
Pop from the
really
Marlins
underrated.
as well.
Yep, there's a couple of guys. And, the Yankees have a really good relationship with the Marlins. Obviously, Pittsburgh, but David Bednar is going to be much more expensive to get. He has a lot of team control and is just phenomenal. So
what do you think about Daniel Bard from the Rockies?
I don't know much about him, but let's look at his stats.
He's been putting up some numbers this year. Like, I think that he could be a really cheap acquisition as well because of his age and control right now.
So he's 37.
37, sorry, thank you.
Yep, but you look at his numbers, $4 million.
Yeah, but like that's whatever. Like, okay, but like 1.9 ERA, 3.5 FIP. He's got a 54% ground ball percentage, which is the highest in his career. 84% left on base percentage, and he's only got a 10% home run to fly ball rate, which means a .72 home run per nine. Which is like less than or more than half of Aroldis Chapman's. And Aroldis has a 1.7 home run per nine, which is
these
just
old guys,
absolutely appalling. Man. Yeah, they've been doing the damn thing this year.
Yeah, so he kind of fits the Matt Blake mold because he has a really active sinker. He throws it at 53%, his slider at 44%. So he's really a sinker slider pitcher.
He fits it, dude.
His sinker,
discount Clay Holmes.
Dude, his sinker went from 14.6% usage in 2021 to 53% in 2022, and it's absolutely killing. Batters are only hitting 167 against it with a 250 slugging. He has a 19% whiff rate, 20.9% put away rate. So it's definitely his strikeout pitch. He has 15 strikeouts over 60 at bats. His slider, though, 28 strikeouts over 71 at bats, 25% put away rate, 35% whiff rate. I mean, his slider sinker are absolutely crushing this year at 37 years old. Now his sinker's getting 98 miles an hour of average velocity, which is freaking amazing for a guy that's 37. So you might be right. That's another guy I might have to write about him because he is pretty impressive. This is a guy who would not cost a lot.
Yes, because it's the Rockies. What are they doing? Like
they're doing nothing. So that's not a bad idea.
Weird. No, I like it. And it's like I wouldn't mind Cashman going out and getting a couple of bullpen arms, even if they're like not like big names, because that means that he's probably just not going to be giving up a lot of capital for it. Like Daniel Bard would probably cost like the Yankees 20th through 30th prospect, maybe like 15th through 30th prospect. If I had to imagine, maybe a couple of those. And that alone would just go like would do wonders for this bullpen. Because I love Ron Marinaccio. You know this. He's like my guy. I'm wearing a damn Ron Marinaccio jersey right now. But I do have a little bit of worries about the Yankees now thrusting him into that kind of back end role and then having another injury or something pop up.
Him and Schmidt will split.
That's what I want to see. Like, in my opinion, I think Marinaccio is our second best bullpen arm, maybe third best behind Wandy. And then Clay Holmes, of course, is just a cut above the rest. But we haven't seen Wandy pitch in a few days. Granted, he was warming up this weekend. But he hasn't pitched since the All-Star break, so I don't know if there's something that they're worried about with him.
He needed rest. It's like Stanton. They wanted to give him rest. They were relying on him a lot before the All-Star break because
but that's what I'm worried about now with Marinaccio. It's like they're going to be relying on him a lot after the All-Star break, and then we get to end of August, and it's like, wow, Ron Marinaccio's shoulder is once again fatigued.
Yeah, so my biggest concern is that right now we have the guys that are healthy, except for Castro, who's coming back. But like Marinaccio is obviously back now. He can pitch. Wandy's probably feeling a little bit less fatigued than he was. And you have, of course, Clark Schmidt, who's looking solid the past couple outings. But here's the thing. Eventually, one of those guys is going to get hurt. One of those guys is going to have an issue. They're going to have to go in the IL for a couple days or whatever it might be. And then we're down a guy. And now you have to rely on the other two more when then those guys get injured because you're relying on them too much. So the bullpen is absolutely a necessity for the Yankees at the trade deadline. They have to bring somebody in, a guy like Daniel Bard, Robertson, Anthony Bass. There's a couple of options that won't cost big contracts, big asset allocations. You're not going to have to give up star prospects for them. And you're talking. I mean, there's a lot of interest in Robertson, so maybe you kind of avoid him and look for someone that is a little. I
think the Mets get Robertson if I had to guess.
Yeah,
because the Yankees also had their issue with him. You know, like the payment issue. So like
right. Yeah, you might just want to dodge that. But guys, This is going to be a fun couple days. We'll keep you guys updated on the daily, multiple videos on any news that comes out. No problems at all. Make sure to keep tuning in for the latest updates, news, and obviously analytical breakdowns of each individual player. Try to give you the best information possible so you can make your own opinions. And, you know, we love to hear your narratives and ideas in the comment section as always. So make sure to leave those below and like and subscribe as always, my friends. Appreciate all the love you've been showing us lately. It means the world to us. And we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.